Once I came to Chicago as a political refugee, so I was eligible for all the social programs and benefits that the government created for poor people. Because it's great to be poor. It's just that moment when you're making $35,000 in America, you're fucked. But when you're poor, you get all the. I've got a nanny. We pay her, and actually she doesn't want to raise, because if she gets raised, her children will lose the benefits of the welfare, of the health benefits. Like, oh my God, it's crazy. I mean, it's insane. She doesn't want to raise. But so I was eligible for all the benefits, such as scholarships and Pell Grants and all that stuff. I had to pay, of course. I had to pay back, and I did gladly. But that's how I did my film school. At first, I worked part-time outside school, and I went to film school. I went to film school part-time, and then gradually, as my English skills improved, I was able to go to full-time to Columbia College. And after first year, I was working as a teaching assistant, and then after a year, I acquired enough skills that I could work as a grip. And 1984, you make $200, you could pay the rent. So the life was kind of good. So that's how I went through film school in Chicago, and why I went to Chicago.
Any more questions?
I'm sorry. You've worked with female directors, you've worked with male directors. Could you talk about the collaboration process with each?
It's all individual, Diane Keaton was amazing. She had visual references, and of course she was really amazing with the actors, and she's an artist. She's really she's not an artist because she's a filmmaker. She's actually an artist. She takes photos and she designs wardrobe. She's really great, and that was really fascinating collaboration. She was basically I like to work with directors that like my work, and I like to work with the directors that have interesting ideas, and Diane Keaton was definitely that kind of person. Then you get other people who are a little bit too intimidated, and okay, as long as you get my shot, you can get your shots. It's like, I mean, your shots, my shots, it's all yours, That's another experience with female director, which is not great. And I mean, I don't think the sex has anything to do with it. I think it's the person.
What if it's a really cute female director?
I've got a great life with a great wife. That doesn't really matter.
Good answer. We have one more question, technical, about Ryan. So we know there's this huge scene to be shot. Everybody's taking hours setting it up. How many cameras plan or use on a big piece like that?
Well, the opening really was done with mainly one camera, because the camera was always chasing Tom Hanks or following Tom Hanks. In other sequences, we'd have 2-3 cameras, usually 2 cameras, because the third camera usually is useless because nobody's really supervising the camera. And when you do explosions or big effects, you put 2-3 cameras. But Steven likes to do things where they kind of unveil in the wide master shots. That is the most difficult process of making movies with him, because you may start with a close-up and then you end up going wide and 360 degree, and that's really, really difficult. And also in those sequences, he likes to have the special effects happening in master shots. He wants the effects to be part of the staging, so it doesn't feel like we cut away, that we actually put in physical cut. Because he thinks that's honest way of recreating reality for the audience. And he's 100% right. The moment you put a cut, the moment you put 50 slow motion cuts into a blow up, you just start over-stylizing it. And it's good for certain movies, right? But the movies we've made with him are kind of reality-based, especially set in Private Ryan. So you have one camera. Of course, you have one camera. Occasionally, you have a second camera. Very seldom more than 2 cameras working simultaneously. In fact, second camera works very, very occasionally. And it's usually I'm behind the camera trying to get some interesting shots, extra shots.
I have a question. How do you decide a movie should be 1:5 aspect ratio, or anamorphic, or super 35?
I think the story gives you that kind of sense. Like the Minority Report, that's the first movie we did widescreen, super 35, and we just wanted to create a future that feels a little bit bigger than reality. The story allowed you to do that. But then again, you look at Apartments, which is an old Billy Wilder movie, Apartments, which is intimate story between 2 people, and that was shot on anamorphic. So there isn't really a rule. I mean, you know, if you have monsters running through the jungle, you don't want to go with widescreen, because then what happens? You know, you have to go really wide. So you want a bigger frame so you can include the monster, right? Or if you're making, there isn't really a rule.
That's
it's
an
more
important
difficult
thing.
to do. It's really hard to do anamorphic. It's really
That's why I asked that question. There are no rules. Every movie defines itself, right? The way you approach it.
Yeah, I would say there are no rules here. Yeah. I mean, probably the rape scene, you don't want to romanticize rape scene, you know. But other than that, there are no rules. That was a joke. There are no rules.
Over here to your left. Going back to the film school topic, are there lessons and experiences you got from shooting student films that you find you carry with you today, or do you think you threw all that stuff out?
Sure. I mean, you know, you kind of go back as you're making Hollywood movies. You kind of go back to that freedom of being film student and being handheld and doing the stuff that normally you would not do in diving bell and butterfly. As a student, I would constantly start on someone and then pen across, or tilt to the leg, tilt to the look at someone's foot, you know, because that was a storytelling for me. Then after many years of working in Hollywood, I realized I was kind of, you know, disinfected from those images, you know, and I've learned, well, when the actor is talking, you gotta keep the camera on the actor. So that's why making that movie was liberating, because I was working with someone who was interested in doing exactly what I did as a student, you know, coming off someone's face and looking at the world around them, and then coming back to that person, you know. And you make mistakes. You put a filter, you know, put a half or 85 filter over the frame. It looks really good when the camera is stationary. Then you pan and you realize, you know. But I still make kind of mistakes like that occasionally. You know, end up putting too many filters and the image is too dark. You know, occasionally you can't do it too often because you can fire you. But occasionally you can do it. You can make
John, way in the back. It's me, Jeff. I had a question I was just thinking about. Do you have trouble watching your own work like some actors do, or do you enjoy watching your films when they're complete?
I think I like the story. I do not go back frequently to the same films. I mean, there are days when I feel, you know, insecure, so I'll maybe look at a little bit of Schindler's List or Minority Report or Catch Me If You Can, you know. And not bad. I think I can do that. I mean, it's good to know you can do it. You know, the worst thing is, as a filmmaker, to just constantly, you know, beat yourself. Oh, if I could do this better, if I had more time. You'll never have enough time. You'll never be able to you know, go back to it. So just move over. You know, just know that you did something good, and it was, you know, not necessarily a learning experience, but remember that. Remember that you've done something bad, and don't repeat the mistakes, or don't go back there. You know. Right, it's good to be able to compliment yourself on good work and realize when the work is mediocre.
So you wouldn't sit on a Saturday and watch a couple of your own films?
Oh, I would right now, because I'm going through the process of trying to find out what the hell I'm doing with the next movie. Sure. But I also will watch work of other people as well.
Oh, one other question I was thinking. You had mentioned Minority Report. The scene when they're trying to catch John and they have like the cops, like the personal police car cops down the one alleyway. I heard that you guys had to build that as a set itself with a cabling system above to do that. Right. How did you get cameras in there?
Well, the cameras were on the sending rig. They were on cable. I mean, it was a very complicated set. All that was done live. He's talking particularly about the set that sequence that takes place in the alleyway, which is a huge chase. Flying chase between the one cop and Tom Cruise, and all that was done live. The only CGI work was done by necessity of removing the wires and adding flames to the jetpacks. But other than that, was all done.
It's an amazing sequence, by the way.
You had many stuntmen and many wires, many people who were responsible for that sequence to be done properly.